Now, as you know, there are many things that are said about the No campaign, those who don't believe it's time to change the Constitution for a voice to Parliament for Indigenous Australians, the majority position now.
Disinformation and misinformation and scare campaigns that exist in this debate.
Distractions and misinformation and disinformation.
All the predictions offered by the Chicken Littles of the past.
And of course, as you know, the polls have not been going the way that the Prime Minister would want. This was the great vanity exercise. This was the thing that would make his entry in Wikipedia, jump him up a couple of spots, get over the top of Rudd, who just said sorry, get over the top of Gillard, who existed, and put himself into the pantheons of Hawke and Whitlam. But there are people who are very much pro, who in my view are getting beyond hysterical by the day. And I've got to say, there was this ridiculous article that appeared at news.com.au, no surprise, which said, among other things here, that one of the things that people are worried about here is that the debate itself is creating pressure on Indigenous people. This was the same rubbish that was said about the same-sex marriage debate. Now, will there be uncomfortable conversation? Sure, you betcha. But listen to this crap. This doctor, who is a director of First Nations Partnership Strategy at the Black Dog Institute, agreed, saying it's not the referendum itself that's impacting the welfare of Indigenous community, rather it's the discussion surrounding it. So you had the Prime Minister a couple of days ago saying basically the No campaign should not be platformed in the media, and you got this bloke trying to pretend that Indigenous people are being used as human shields in their emotions because of a debate about what goes into a constitutional document that applies to, guess what, everyone in the community. Dr Schultz goes on to say that he holds concerns about the conversation surrounding the voice, both in the past and the future, as the referendum gets closer. I think there's been a lack of focus on social and emotional well-being of the mob at the centre of these discussions. What rubbish! There's been nothing but a want from the Jacinta Prices of this world for practical outcomes of the very people who we need to talk about. And I'll give it to those that believe in, yes, they too are actively talking about what they believe to be, what they hope, the best interests of this community. Oh, but to have a debate about it at all, apparently is going to make everything worse. And I get it, I'm putting my head in the lion's mouth, I'm the white guy on television talking about it. But if you're going to change our national document, it's going to involve everyone in the country, including the people who are going to disagree with you. Now, Albo is probably going to learn a lesson here, which is that he should have legislated the voice. And then, if it works, make a play for a constitution later. Most people in Australia, and I believe it would be 9 out of 10 people in Australia, would vote for recognition. But as they turn around now and tell us that every time they talk about the voice, it's not about the voice, it's about the recognition bit, it's not 2 questions. It's all or nothing. Because that's the arrogant position of a Prime Minister who thinks that you are with him no matter what. That they can tell you the economy's magnificent. There is no such thing as cost of living crisis. We've got a bigger surplus than ever before, meaning the government takes more than they give out at a time when people need it more, but the money that they give out are for things like stadiums they don't need in Tasmania. Well, wait, watch and see, because, of course, even what I have just said then will be considered to be deeply racist, which is not true. I want every Australian to be fine. And the people who are upset by the extremes of this debate, OK, cool, we'll have a chat about that. But the idea that the debate itself is the problem seems to be certain people's problems with democracy, because that's the way it works. It's ugly, and it was the Prime Minister's decision for this thing to go in an entire year, because remember, it was the great distraction from the cost of living stuff that's definitely not happening.